Did you ever write any correspondence, make any call to the White House seeking to engage, seeking to get these materials that you're seeking from the author instead from the White House? Did you ever do that, Mr. Chairman?
We're seeking documents from a private individual who I might add tried to destroy the evidence.
I guess the question is, I guess the answer is no. The answer is no.
The answer is since 2 days ago, I have not
asking the question about since 2 days ago, although nothing.
That's when they first raised the concern.
Nothing prevented you from writing a letter within the last 2 days or reaching out to the White House before this.
Now you want me to be clairvoyant and read the White House's mind and write a letter before they tell us something?
Nothing prevented you from seeking these materials from the White House
is known
for months, Mr. Chairman. For months.
It's not a mind reader.
I thank you for making a very clean record for any court that will look at this.
The gentleman
never
from Carolina said
accommodation
months ago the White House could have raised the concern, and they did
these documents because your first move, of course, is to go right to contempt. Ironically, of course, for a chairman who was in contempt of his own subpoena.
Point of order, Mr.
We're
Chairman.
still waiting for you to testify and meet the obligations of your own subpoena, Mr. Chairman.
Can you believe this guy? Adam Schiff, slick as ever, trying to pull his classic gotcha lawyer act on Jim Jordan. This is exactly the kind of political theater that drives people crazy about Washington. D.C., for Democrats like Schiff, it's all about the show. We're going to break down the entire exchange, including the moment Jim Jordan absolutely torches Schiff on the House floor for his past lies. You don't want to miss this.
Gentleman from California withdraws point of order, seeks recognition. Gentleman from California is recognized.
Mr. Chairman, much as I don't like certain parts of the Mazur's decision, it clearly applies in this case, and the committee is required to engage with the White House in order to seek an accommodation over materials held by a private party, as they were in the Mazur's case, and seek to resolve this with the White House. So I would ask unanimous consent that we enter into the record your correspondence to the White House.
Objection.
Seeking to engage them to resolve this. And I thank the chairman for not objecting. Can you produce that correspondence to the White House asking for accommodation on these materials you sought by this subpoena?
First time they reached out to us was 2 days ago.
Yes, and of course the author expressed a concern that these materials may implicate interests of the executive. I think that was weeks ago. But having admitted without dissent your correspondence to the White House, can you produce that for us, where you have sought an accommodation, where you've sought to work this out with the White House? Can you share that with us, since that is now part of the record?
Well, I thought you had it. You wanted to enter it into the record.
I do. I presume that, knowing your responsibilities, you have sought to engage the White House. So,
Mr. Chairman, point of order.
Produce the.
I think a unanimous consent request to submit something to the record is where the person who's asking for the floor is the proponent of submitting information that member has. I don't believe it's appropriate to ask a unanimous consent request to engage in a colloquy over discovering information or obtaining information from another member of the committee.
Great, and that's why I said no objection to the unanimous consent request. If the gentleman from California wants to talk about that and present it to us, God bless him. He's allowed to do it. It takes 5 minutes.
I would like clarification from the chairman. Does this mean that there is no correspondence from you to the White House seeking accommodation on this material?
We've had all kinds of correspondence with the White House on this broad subject relative to this one answer in the letter we got 2 days ago. We've not corresponded with the White House yet. We may, but that's a decision we'll make.
And you have not corresponded with the White House seeking accommodation ever since the author who you were subpoenaing and seeking to hold in contempt articulated the view that there was executive interest and potential privilege over this material. You haven't sought to engage over the weeks since you received that communication?
We have not engaged with the White House since the letter on the 25th of this month, 2 days ago.
And prior to that time, did you engage the White House in an effort to obtain
all kinds of engagements with our counsel and counsel.
I'm talking about
the Justice Department and White House with our counsel over the last several months relative to the special counsel.
This subpoena, Mr. Chairman, did you engage with the White House at any time in the last several weeks since issuing this subpoena, the one you want to hold this witness in contempt for? Did you ever engage with the White House in an effort to accommodate, an effort to reach an agreement, an effort to prevent this from having to be litigated. Did you ever write any correspondence, make any call to the White House seeking to engage, seeking to get these materials that you're seeking from the author instead from the White House? Did you ever do that, Mr. Chairman?
We're seeking documents from a private individual who I might add tried to destroy the evidence.
I guess the question is, I guess the answer is no.
Since 2
Yes,
days
the answer is no.
The answer is since 2 days ago, I'm not
asking the question about since 2 days ago, although nothing.
That's when they first raised the concern.
Nothing prevented you from writing a letter within the last 2 days or reaching out to the White House before this.
Now you want me to be clairvoyant and read the White House's mind and write a letter before they tell us something?
Nothing prevented you from seeking these materials from the White
California
House
is known
for months, Mr. Chairman. For months.
Not a mind reader.
And I thank you for making a very clean record for any court that will look at this.
The
that
gentleman
you never
from Carolina
sought
said
an accommodation
months ago the White House could have raised the
to
concern, and they
obtain these
didn't.
documents. Because your first move, of course, is to go right to contempt. Ironically, of course, for a chairman who was in contempt of his own subpoena.
Point of order, Mr.
We're still
Chairman.
waiting for you to testify and meet the obligations of your own subpoena, Mr. Chairman. But nevertheless, I appreciate you're making such a clean record for any court in this case that you've never sought an accommodation, never written to the White House, never called the White House, never had a communication with the White House in order to obtain these materials as part of an accommodation. Thank you for.
Gentleman is recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I thank the gentleman for yielding. Americans want safer streets, affordable gas, and freedom. Instead, Democrats give us record crime levels, record inflation, and another bill attacking President Trump. Sponsored by the guy who spent years misleading the Congress and, more importantly, the country. On Trump-Russia investigation, on Mueller investigation, on impeachments. Remember when the sponsor of the bill said that his office didn't meet with the whistleblower? Found out that wasn't true. Remember when the sponsor of the bill told us that we would hear from the whistleblower during impeachment? We'd actually have real process instead of having hearings and depositions in the basement, in the bunker of the Capitol. Remember when the sponsor told us this? There was more than circumstantial evidence that President Trump colluded with Russia. That turned out to be false. Bob Mueller said it was false. Everyone knew it was false. In fact, it was such baloney, even the Washington Post has had to retract and change things from stories because they said, oh yeah, there was a lot of false information in that dossier that they used to go spy on President Trump's campaign. And I think this is important to understand. The sponsor of this legislation wasn't just any member of Congress, Mr. Speaker. He wasn't just any chairman of the committee in Congress. He was the chairman of the Intelligence Committee, the committee that gets additional information from anyone else in the country making those claims that were not accurate. So maybe instead of having another bill attacking President Trump, we should actually focus on things that the American people care about. You know, you can attack President Trump all you want. I know one thing. A year ago, border was secure. Sure was. A year ago, cities were safe. Safer than they are today. A year ago, we didn't have a 31-year high inflation. We actually had wages going up, real wages. A year ago, we didn't have a Department of Justice attacking moms and dads, putting a label, a designation, a threat tag on parents who simply go to school board meetings and speak out against a racist Hate America curriculum. No, we didn't have that a year ago, but you guys can keep attacking the president all you want. Not addressing the issues that the American people care about. We're going to speak about the issues they care about. We're going to try to do everything we can to slow down your crazy agenda.
You've seen both clips now, and honestly, it's incredible. What we just watched is the perfect snapshot of American politics today. On one side, you've got Jim Jordan on the House floor, laying out the facts and speaking to what real Americans are dealing with every single day. On the other, you've got Adam Schiff, the king of fake investigations, doing everything he can to bog things down in procedural games to block a real investigation. Let's break it down. First, that speech from Jim Jordan. He's absolutely right. What do Americans actually care about? Gas prices, rising crime, and a border that's wide open. And what are Democrats focused on? Yet another bill attacking President Trump. After all these years, they're still obsessed with him. He's living, rent-free in their heads. But the best moment comes when Jordan calls out the bill's author, Adam Schiff. He reminds everyone exactly who Schiff is, the same former intelligence chairman, who went on TV day after day claiming he had more than circumstantial evidence of Trump-Russia collusion. He didn't. He lied, flat out, to the American people, to Congress, to everyone. He pushed a narrative he knew was bogus. This is the same guy who hyped the phony Steele dossier, who misled the public about his staff's contacts with a whistleblower, and who even doctored evidence during the first impeachment. Time and again, Schiff has been caught twisting the truth. And he does it with that same smug grin, convinced that voters won't remember. Well, Jim Jordan remembered, and he had the guts to call him out right there on the House floor. Then, we get to that committee hearing. And this is where it gets infuriating. Schiff slips right back into his slick lawyer act, repeating the same line over and over. Did you seek accommodation from the White House? He's not looking for answers. He's trying to create a procedural loophole, a talking point. His friends in the administration can hide behind. Jordan's point couldn't be clearer. The committee is seeking documents from a private citizen, not the White House. Schiff knows that, but he keeps twisting the issue to run interference. You can see Jordan's frustration. He's trying to do real oversight, while Schiff plays his usual DC swamp games, and the hypocrisy is off the charts. Schiff, of all people, lecturing anyone about subpoenas or process. This is the same man who ran to sham impeachments, lied about evidence he never had, and doctored text messages. Now he wants to pretend he's the defender of congressional procedure. Give me a break. And then, that final line from Schiff, ironically, for a chairman in contempt of his own subpoena, that's his whole act in one sentence. It's not about truth or accountability. It's about scoring a clever one-liner for cable news. What do you guys think? Who really won this exchange? And am I wrong about Schiff? I don't think so. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.